Good morning. Let's go over the stock market, the capital markets in Rwanda. So, sharing my screen here so you can see for yourselves. Not much going on. So, this is the website of the Rwanda Stock Exchange. If we wanted to go to quick stats, we can click here. So, not a lot of stocks available on the stock exchange, and you can see here that the volume traded is 0. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it looks like we only have 11 stocks. They're all affordable. So these are RUF, Rwandan francs. One RUF is, or I should say actually, one USD should be about 1,000 RUF. 2 RUF. Okay, 1,300. So it's affordable in terms of, okay, hey, I live in the US, I live in the West. Can I invest in the stock market in Rwanda? Sure, you can invest in it. It's affordable. However, not a lot to pick from. Most of these stocks are banks. So let's see here. We have Bank of Rwanda. IMR is a bank. KCB is a bank. And then there's Bank of Kigali here. BLR is a company that makes beer. I think they're called Balirwa or something like that. So they make soft drinks and beer. And if you wanted to say, well, where can what will my portfolio look like in a year? You can see here that there's not a lot of action. So the stock exchange is a private company. If you wanted to know more, all you have to do is click on the annual reports and you can have some information there. It was incorporated in 2011, I believe. So here you go. For example, if I click here, it should give us more information. Incorporated in 2011 or 2010. I believe that the incorporators, there might have been 10 incorporators, and each of them put in about 10K each. So the capital that was deployed to start the stock exchange was about 100K USD, or I'm putting it in terms of USD because that's just how my mind works. This is in 2011. Since then, you can see that number one, it's been operating for over 10 years, which is a good sign. It has been growth in terms of memberships. And when it started, I don't think that there were 10 companies on the stock exchange, so there has been improvement. So there we go. These are the incorporators here. And you can see that one of those um this is the I believe that's the Sovereign Wealth Fund, the Agachiro Development Fund. Yes, so this is the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And so there it is. So in a nutshell, there is a stock market. You can afford it. It's very cheap. And however, not much to choose from and not a lot of action. So what does that mean for you if you're looking for more aggressive returns? The only solution, so if you want to invest in Rwanda, you can start a business. And of course, when you're starting a business, you have to look at your pro forma because there is a corporate tax rate that you have to contend with. And then after all of that, if once you pay the corporate tax rate, you have to see where you're located, where your investors are located, because if they're getting dividends, there's still the personal income tax as an investor in whatever jurisdiction there are. if you want to invest and make a more attractive return, you should just start your own. I would encourage you to actually start a company that you can put on the stock market because as you can see, there isn't much going on and most of them are banks. So there's always it's kind of like a I don't know how I would phrase it as there's a cultural there's a cultural theme where I always get these questions about can you help us fundraise? Yes. And then I always see this word disruptive. We are a disruptive startup, we are a disruptive startup, but really when it comes to incorporating, making a profit, and sustaining operations over years and years and years, what you have to do is you provide a product that has demand. And so because this product that has demand, it can be especially when it comes to East Africa, food, logistics or transportation. Fintech is also an attractive sector. However, you have to be careful as to what kind of fintech product you're offering. And also, if ultimately you want your investors to be the average Joe or the average Jane in East Africa, it has to be affordable. So whatever fintech product you're offering, if it's an app, if you want people to download it, you have to have in mind who your end user is going to be, because this goes back to the phone. So what kind of phone do they have? Do they have a phone that can download, or do they have access to the Apple Store or the Google Store? And once they download your app, you have to provide something where they will actually be using the app at least once a day, at least. And then from there, if they're going to buy some sort of product off of your app, it has to be affordable. So if you're thinking, let's say you're sitting in Boston, Massachusetts, you have an idea about a fintech app, which I've been in these meetings in Boston where we have entrepreneurs share ideas about businesses, companies, products that they want to offer in Africa. And the price that they have in mind is okay, we're just going to sell it for a dollar, which is actually good. It's great. A dollar is affordable, not to everyone though, because again, if you go back to, let's go back to Rwanda, that's 1300 RUF. $1 is 1300 RUF. And if someone in Rwanda, if they have extra pennies to pinch, they can always just go on their stock exchange and buy one stock of Bank of Kigali and it's 300 RUF. So on the pricing point, you're already losing as a potential startup because that's not disruptive to offer something for 1300. It's already pricing out people that can just go straight to the stock market and buy a stock of Bank of Kigali. So there are several things that you have to take into consideration, including price. So, and this is when it comes to fintech. So this is just a short introduction of the capital markets in Rwanda, which is, again, very small, not a lot to choose from. However, it is affordable if you just want to, spend some money. Your dollar will go the extra way, your euro, your whatever. You can afford the stocks. Now, when it comes to what are the dividends, what are the returns, we can talk about that. So just send me a message. You should have access to, I'll put my WhatsApp number so you can reach out to me directly. So that's the story on the capital markets. Now, I advise you if you want to have more action, so if you want to have more of a footprint in investing in East Africa, investing in Rwanda, you don't just look at the capital markets, which you can afford, but also you should start your own company. Now, when you're starting your own company, make sure that within your pro formas, you take account of the corporate tax rate in Rwanda, and also once your profits are taxed in Rwanda or in East Africa, once you repatriate them in your location, there is also going to be a personal income tax to you, the investor. So include that in your performas and whatever you want to sell. And this goes to specifically fintech. Your fintech app, make sure that your end user, can they actually download the app? Is it possible? Number two, you have to make sure that they use the app at least once a day for whatever reason. Whatever product you're offering, it has to be something that they use every day, at least once. And then if you want them to buy a service from the app, it has to be affordable for the average Joe and the average Jane that lives in East Africa. So if the product you're offering is 1 USD, that is actually expensive because they have other choices. They can spend their money on other things, such as, again, just the stock market. And here I'm just looking at the stock market in Rwanda, but there is a stock market in Kenya. There is also a stock market in Uganda. So I'm not too familiar with the stock market in Uganda. There you go, the securities exchange. So you would have to do your own research and obviously go through a broker, a licensed broker, and let's see. So there we go. We have a couple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17, 18. So it looks like they have 18 stocks available in Uganda. Okay, British American Tobacco. Well, okay. Bank of Uganda, Development Finance. I don't know what. So again, I'm not too familiar. Okay, you can invest in Kenya Airways. That's nice. I wonder how much that is. Then there's Equity Bank here. Equity Bank is also on the Rwandan Stock Exchange. Oh, it looks like the KCB also is here. Okay, so it looks like not much is going on here as well, but just out of curiosity, how much is the Kenya Airways stock? Okay, blah, 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 blah. So you're not telling me how much it is. Okay. Oh, I guess here. Okay, Kenya Airways 108.94. 108 Uganda shillings? Is it Ugandan shillings? To USD. Okay. All right. So it's Kenya Airways is affordable to Uganda shillings. Okay, so it looks like the Rwandan franc is actually stronger than the Ugandan shilling. And I'm guessing, okay, the Kenya shilling is stronger than the Rwandan franc. And I know that the capital markets in Kenya are definitely they're more substantive than the stock market in Uganda and in Rwanda. But again, this goes back to I want to invest in East Africa. Perfect. what is your capital? How much do you want to actually, in terms of how much cash can you send to East Africa today? Or let's say by the end of the month. Okay, whatever. If it's not one lump sum, then you have to build up the money that you're sending. So if you meet with me, let's say we have a meeting on Zoom, you want to invest in East Africa, okay, that's wonderful. Sometimes I talk with potential clients and they don't realize that they actually want to donate. Okay. Um, Donating is different from investing. And unfortunately, people sometimes do not understand the difference. For example, they will say, well, I want to invest in the education of 10 young girls from an orphanage. Okay, that's not investing. That's a donation. The other thing is, okay, if it's a donation now, is it tax deductible where you are, where you're at, or is it not? So if you have a cousin, so let's say you're sending your money to your cousin who works in an orphanage and he's going to spend it on the kids in the orphanage, that's not tax deductible. However, if you incorporate a nonprofit here in America, and if you get nonprofit status from the IRS, so you have to go through paperwork, you get nonprofit designation from the IRS, and then that nonprofit here sends funds to the orphanage, that is tax deductible. So that's the example of, okay, I want to invest in, the education of so and so. So that's not investing. That's just donating your funds. So number two, okay, I do want to invest in East Africa. What can I do? Well, you can in capital markets. You have to do your own research in terms of how much do you want to invest? Do you want to invest $100 today? That's actually pretty easy. You have to contact licensed brokers in the capital markets, and then from, depending on what their protocol is, you obviously have to complete KYC documentation, and then from there, you send your funds to them and they buy the stock for you. Okay, so let's say you have invested $100, then what? Are you going to sit on it? That's fine. And depending on the stock that you're buying, you may or may not have a return in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It depends on the stock. At the same time, you have to be mindful of the tax consequences of your returns or of your losses. So you do have to have a tax expert wherever you're based. And you probably should have an accountant in the country that you're investing, whether it's Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda. If you want to do that for Rwanda, I can help you with that because I have staff locally in Rwanda. So you can invest directly in the capital markets, or yes, you can start your own company. Make sure through your research that number one, you incorporate the taxes and, within the profit, within the net profit. And from there, you also have to have capital. So, okay, great. You want to start a company. We work on a business plan. The business plan looks great. And then what? So, once you have a business plan, you have to have capital. Again, this goes back to cash. How much cash do you have today? Let's say in your business plan, if you plan on spending 20,000 USD in staff positions, and again, when it comes to employees, remember that there are benefits that you have to pay. You have to enroll everyone on the health insurance system. For example, this goes back to the Rwandan market. So in Rwanda, there's a payee tax, all of these expenses that come with employees. So say in your business plan, you want to spend 20,000 in staff alone, okay? Do you have $20,000 today? No. Okay, fine. If the answer is no, then we stop there and we have to work on the fundraising part, right? So once the fundraising is taken care of and the cash is available to be deployed, then we can go to step 2 and implement everything that is in your business plan. Execute the strategy that is written down. And just as an FYI, a business plan is just a plan. Plans can change, okay? Because just because you want it done a certain way, there might be realities that you become aware of after the fact that necessitate a change in strategy. So if you want to do that, send me a message. I can definitely do a lot for you, the potential investor. Also, if you're looking for a country or a regional, or let's say an emerging markets regional director, I can do that for you because I am familiar with East Africa. I have staff on the ground in Rwanda specifically, and Kenya is next door, Uganda is next door, Burundi. Oh, well, things aren't going so well with what's going on between Rwanda and Burundi and the DRC, but that's another story. So the point is, don't just go in blind. It's not productive to you and to whoever you want to help or whoever you want to, or whatever you want to do, unless it's investing in orphanages or helping folks or children in orphanages. Nothing wrong with that. So let me know what you think. Send me a message. There is my WhatsApp number link somewhere here. Also, I am on Slack for the folks on in the West Coast, because I know that some startups in California specifically, they want to enter the East African market, but they just don't know how, and the logistics of it all is a little confusing. So I am definitely your man for that. Reach out to me as soon as you can, and let's get to work. So thank you again for watching this video. Today is October 3rd, 2024.